Hello, welcome back. The next few videos are all going to be about embellishing the blog. So adding on little dates and stuff, maybe pictures and an author and stuff like that, so that we can eventually have it looking something like this or something like this or anything we want, okay? There are a few things to add, but you know something? I wanted to do a video that just focused on the date picker because it's something that you'll use all the time in all sorts of websites, okay? Now, a date picker, if you go to the Yannick's thing, by the way, and you click on forms, you'll find a form example here with date input, and if you click on it, do you see the little calendar here? Okay, that's called a date picker. Can you handle the vibe? It's a date picker. Now, if we select a date like 2nd of December, you'll see that the date comes up here and you can see the format, and that's nice, and that's what we're going to use, okay? Before we get started, as is the tradition these days, I'm going to add, now I've emptied the table, right? I'm going to add a brand new column here, and I'm going to call it date_published. You can see that I've had a little practice run here, okay? Date_published, and it's going to be an integer, right? So the vibe is we are going to save the date published as a Unix timestamp, okay? It's going to be a Unix timestamp. Now, getting all of this working is actually going to be quite easy, but the biggest challenge is that we're storing as a Unix timestamp, but the problem is we're going to be getting our date in this format here, okay? So we need a way of easily and effortlessly converting date formats from this to Unix timestamps, and from Unix timestamps back to this, okay? So that's something that we need to build. As a matter of fact, let's do it before we do any forms or anything, okay? So I'm going to bring up the blog controller here, and I'm going to make a little function up. I hope you'll join in, and I'm going to call it test, okay? And this is going to load up a module, which is going to be the time date module. Do you remember the time date module? Here it is here, okay? Now, we're going to do a thing which is very simple. I'm going to say now time equals time, and then I'm going to say date picker time equals, so I'm going to change the format of this, and the way that we would do that is we would go time date get nice date, we would add in the Unix timestamp, and then we would choose the format. In this case it's date picker, okay? Now, in case you're wondering, like, if you're thinking, well, how did you know that? Listen, when you use these things, after a while, you start to remember all of this stuff. It's kind of cool, you know? So I'm going to echo this onto the screen, and that's the vibe. So if we go to blog/test, can you see that it has converted a Unix timestamp into a date picker format? So that's nice, okay? But hang on, don't crack open the champagne just yet. There's a couple of challenges here. First of all, if we select, let's say for example, the 2nd of December, okay, you'll see that it's got 12, so that's the month, /2, and then / of the year, okay? Now that's nice if you're from America, but if you're from the UK, that's kind of weird. You know, when I was at school, we would have wrote the date as 2/12, you know? You'll also notice that we've got actually / here, whereas on our thing we're using hyphens, okay? So this is nice. This, where are we here? Time date I'm looking for. Yeah, we're calling up this date picker thing, and it's nice, but it's actually a UK format. We need a new format, which I'm going to call datepicker_US, okay? And I'll just do a little note, and that's going to be like 2/18. It's the same vibe, you know. The only difference is the month will be there, the day is going to be there, and let's get rid of those hyphens, okay? We'll change them, turn them into /. Okay, so we've now got a thing called datepicker US. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to change to date picker US, hit refresh. Now watch the date, right? In fact, I'll make this bigger. If we've done this right, the month and the day should flip around. So I'm going to hit refresh. And there you go. That's fantastic, okay? That is fantastic. The next thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a lot of converting date pickers back into timestamps, okay? So convert back into Unix timestamp. Now I've added a couple of functions onto this date picker thing to help with this, but actually I'm slightly embarrassed to say that they're not entirely working. This is trying to load up make time, and there is no make time here. So let's just fix that. I'm going to select both of these and replace all of that with MK time. That's a built-in PHP function that's going to convert these into a timestamp, okay? But behold, it's not quite there yet, because we've got make timestamp from date picker, but don't forget, folks, that's talking about a UK date picker. So let's make a brand new one, make timestamp from date picker underscore US, and all I'm going to do is flip the month and the day. Okay, so let's give this a try. Let's see what happens. If we go back to the test thing, I'm going to say timestamp. We'll try and turn it back into a timestamp, right? So that's going to be this time date. Now hang on, it's not. That's right, actually it is. Sorry, it's make timestamp from date picker US, and that's going to be date picker time. Okay, and I'll just say echo timestamp. So if we hit refresh, that's not too bad. Now, how do we know that this has worked? Well, don't forget we've got full access to a time date module here, so we can just say nice date equals this time date get nice date, and let's add in the timestamp that we just made, and let's do a nice cool format, make it look cool. And if we do that, sorry, save. Okay, hang on. It helps if you do echo nice date. Hello. Okay, so here we are back at Thursday 28th of July, right? So can you see what's happening here? We are converting the date from a date picker, whoopsie daisy, from a date picker format like this into a timestamp, and then back round the other way, okay? Back round the other way again. That's all that's going on here, and thank you very much indeed. So the rest of this video is going to be really easy, apart from the fonts all being messed up and too big, but the rest of this is going to be really easy. Let me show you the vibe, okay? If we click on create new blog entry, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is add in a form field up the top here, okay? In fact, before we even do that, let me bring up create here, and I'm just going to go right to the top of the code here and say this load module time date, okay? Because we're going to be using the time date module. That's the vibe. So let's go to blog /create, and we're going to make a brand new form field right up the top here, okay? And the form field is going to be called date published, and this is going to have one of those little date picker things. So how do we get that? It's very easy. We go to Yanix, we view the page source, and then we look for date input, and look, here it is. This is all we need, just one line of code, and the whole thing's going to be just fine. So I'm going to select this here, paste this in, and in fact, let me just show you that this actually works. Let me take this out for the moment. I keep pressing that. So if we refresh, look, it says date published, and if we click on it, we have a fabulous calendar all ready to go, okay? So let's make this thing actually work. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to change the name to date published, okay? The name gets changed to date published. And then in the value, I'm going to change that to date published, okay? So if we go back and refresh the screen, we're going to get an error message here, okay? Because it doesn't know where the date published thing is. But relax. Remember, it's just a form variable. It's just a form variable. So if we do fetch data from post, right, we can add in date published like this, okay? And if we look at fetch data from DB, we can also say date published equals row date published, like so. So if we refresh the screen, there's the vibe, okay? Kind of starting to look cool, and all is well. Now, remember, they're going to be selecting the date. It's going to be in a format, something like that, okay? So when this thing goes through validation, which happens here, when we pass the validation, we're going to have to convert that date picker into a Unix timestamp. But you know, before we even do that, I'm going to add a validation rule in right at the top here, and I'm going to say date published, and we'll write date published in here. Date published, and it's going to be required. Now you might be saying, well, what about, you know, do we need a callback or something to make sure it's the right format? I mean, is that all we need? Yes, that's all we need. Because look, when you select a date here, right, if I do that and then I try and write on this form, it's not even going to let me write on the form. So this is solid, and required is all we need. It's very cool indeed, okay? So check this out. If validation is true, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to convert the date picker into a Unix timestamp. Now we've already loaded up our time date module. Thank you very much. It's going to come in handy. And I'm going to say date published equals this. And then we go time date. And then we're going to say, let's just get this right. We're going to say make timestamp from date picker US. That's the one. Okay. And the field that we're doing this to is data date published. Okay. So let's just test this before we go any further. Actually, I'll make sure I save this. So save. And I'll go on to manage blog. I'll go create new blog entry. Date published, something like that, and we'll add some stuff in here. Yes indeed. Okay, and I'll hit submit. Okay, so it says the blog entry was successfully created, and if we look at the database here, you'll see that we have a nice Unix timestamp in the date published. Okay, and that's pretty cool. I'm happy with that. Okay, however, if you look at the page, where on earth is it? That's the Yannick's thing. If we look at this page and have a look at date published, do you see how it's a really ugly timestamp? Now that is not cool. Yes indeed, it's not cool. But to fix that, it's very easy. We just open up the blog controller, and then right before the page loads, right down here, I'm going to just say if data date published is greater than 0. Okay, so that means it must be a Unix timestamp. So convert to date picker format. Okay, so that's kind of cool. So all we do is we say data date published equals this time date, and remember we're talking about get nice date. That's the one we're using. That's the one. So get nice date, and it's going to be data date published, and the format is going to be date picker US. Okay, so I'm going to refresh that. So check this out. If we refresh this page here, look, the date published is cool. I'll just run through the whole thing just to show you that this all works, okay? So we'll create a brand new blog entry. I'll do this one on Christmas, 25th of December. And I'll say the title is Merry Christmas. You can see that I had a sneaky practice run, okay? Hit submit. And look, the date says, see, 12/25/2016. It's fantastic, Ola. We can go outside of this, back in like so. And the date still says 25th. We can change it. Let's change it to the 5th of November. Remember the 5th of November. And look, it's all fine. We can go back out. We can go back in. Everything is rock solid. And that, my friends, is how you handle the date picker. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.